Welcome back to Leaving the Lies and Speaking Your Truth. We are here with part 2 of our interview with Robert. And Autumn asked him a question just before we left part 1. She's going to re-ask that question, and Robert's going to answer that for us. So go ahead, Autumn.
So the question was, why did your mother stop speaking to you? How long did you go without speaking to her? And how are you guys today?
Oh, you forgot one. How did it make you feel?
How did it make you feel?
Well, we were very close, but so it was quite the adjustment, but I was never mad at her because I felt like I let her down. You know, I'm the one that is preventing her from being able to be close to me. So I never held any of it against her, but for 8 years, when I say we didn't talk, I would call and check on her, and she would answer, and she would say, I'm fine, and it would just be short, you know, to the point. You know, it wasn't our normal relationship. It was a quick, yes, I'm doing fine. Okay, your sister's doing fine. Okay, gotta go.
Minimal communication, not getting into anything real in depth.
She would answer my calls, so she never cut me off to a point that I couldn't talk to her. But It wasn't the same. Of course, she couldn't treat me the same without jeopardizing cracks in her faith. So from her perspective, I would assume this was a test of her faith. My firstborn is gone. How do I proceed? You know, who do I put first, my beliefs or him? So from that perspective, I had no qualms with what she decided. I would have made the same decision if my faith was intact. So, and my best friend made the opposite choice. He never stopped associating and being like family, even when it was at cost to his faith. And one of the reasons why, to this day so close, even the faith couldn't prevent him from checking on me and interacting with me, which was, once again, he was someone that taught me you can think for yourself while being in this situation. So even though he wasn't supposed to talk to people that are no longer of the faith, even though he wasn't supposed to pursue higher education, he did these things.
Autumn and I had a secret visit while she was still in and I was out, so we get that.
You get it, yeah. So yeah, it was secret, of course, because if word got out, we were hanging out, he would get in trouble. But
right,
once again, it's an example of you could still think for yourself, and that's important. He found a way to still do that. I wasn't able to, so didn't work out for me. But
now, how are you and your mother today?
Well, good. We now when we talk, it's an hour-long gossip fest, and everything's back to normal. She and me see religion in the same light now, so that's a relief to be on the same page. And things are great.
I love
maybe
that.
Even better for the absence.
I want to add this too for anybody who's watching and your family is out and you decided to stay and your family is gone. I would like for you, and I'm sorry, Mel.
Oh, no.
I would like for you to share for the people the moment your mother decided not to leave, because you shared the story with us, and I want you to share it again for those that are watching that are still in the house or any religion. What happened the moment your mother decided to leave? Take us to that story.
Well, one of the things, I will say is important when you are cut off from your family is to never let your phone number change. So intentionally, I've had the same phone number for probably since cell phones came out. And that was by design. So she always could reach me. There would never be any disconnection in that regard. And one day the phone rang and she was done. Her faith had cracked. She's seen things for herself, and my mom makes decisions, and once they're done, it's made. There's no going back. There's no wavering. It's decisions made. So she asked me to come get her in the middle of the night. I picked her and my sister up, and that was that. She's been back to her normal self ever since. Once that hold was broken.
And even though, and I think I'm going to do my little soapbox here for a minute too. So it'd been 8 years since you'd had a real meaningful conversation with your mom. But even after 8 years had passed, she called and asked you for help and you dropped everything to go help her, because that's what we would do. And there are lots of people in there right now who don't realize, and it was like no time had passed. It was like everything went back to the way it was before the wedge was there. And I think that is an important part of your story. I think that we kind of missed in formulating our questions, because I think a lot of people are afraid that they've done too much damage. Like you said, your mom kind of felt like, I think you said you felt like you were the fault, but I think she probably felt like she was the one at fault. And I think a lot of people that are in there that are separated from their family members are feeling that way. And they think, well, they're never going to forgive me, or they're never going to accept me. That's not the way us people that have left are thinking and feeling. That's not those. If that's what you're being told that we are thinking and feeling, that's not the way we're thinking and feeling.
No, there should be nothing but acceptance, because you should understand. You understand the evolution of faith, how it grows and how it dissolves. If you rationally look at the process, you can't hold it against anyone that's in it, because it's you should understand firsthand. You
right.
did it yourself.
And once again, articulated perfectly. Just gonna add.
I didn't speak to family members as much as I should have, because they weren't of the faith. So I have no ill will to anyone that has to make those choices. I wish we weren't putting ourselves in a position where we had to make those choices. But family should be stronger than any kind of religion or faith. And she's flourishing. Our relationship's great.
Awesome.
That's probably more from a single mom-son dynamic than from the religion. Because when you're a single mom, it's just you and your mom. You have
a bond.
A bond that's unbreakable, and you always feel you have to protect her, and you have to, whatever you need to do, drop what you're doing. It's your mom. It's all you have. So
love it.
At the time, that's all I had. I have expanded since then, and I have much more family in my life now. I think. But at the time, it was just me and her.
So now, Robert, we're going to go back to something you had mentioned when we shut the camera off. And I think it's important. I think this is something you want to touch on, which is the difference between the way that young men are handled in comparison to the way young women are handled, and why. So go ahead and get into that.
Yes. One thing that it was clear and obvious to me was there was a different perspective on men and women, especially when you're young. Men were more expendable. Women were more of an asset. So if me and a female counterpart of the same age did the same act and brought the elder's attention, one of us would be threatened to be thrown out, while the other one would be handled with kid gloves, and if anything, put in some kind of elders' wives program to prep her more for marriage. But the fact women could be used to lock down a male believer, someone that comes single and needs a righteous wife, and you have a righteous wife that you've been counseling and prepping because she got in trouble, but you put her through the refurbishment program and got her wife ready now at 17. She could be used to keep someone in the faith. She could be used to double down an elder. I always thought he encouraged elders to get second wives, because if they had second wives, they're kind of really in it now. So I think that was a way too. But women were never thrown or disregarded as easily as a man was. A woman can leave for 3 years.
Women are treated as property. They're like a good or a product.
Yes.
And men are a competition for that product.
Yeah.
So the elders and those that are higher up don't want that competition there. They want to be able to have more access to the property.
More women, less men, better the circumstance. And so it was that was another crack when I saw that women and men were treated differently, handled differently.
And I don't know if you know this, Robert. Did you know that similar thing happens in the Mormon religion? Young men are run off for the exact same reason. It's a very common thing when they start teaching multiple marriage. The young men are left to suffer and abandoned with little education, little life experience, job experience, and they are basically floundering in life until they can find themselves on their feet again. And they're victims of that.
That was a weird transition. When I first left the house, it was, you know, that movie Kingpin and the Amish guy that goes out to the world. I really felt like him. I was so naive to everything, social cues. I didn't understand when the girl was telling me she liked me. I didn't know how to talk to women. I didn't know how to, I didn't know how to interact. I didn't know. I forgot how fun it was to do Christmas. I forgot about birthdays being a big deal. I've been disconnected from the things that make us normal so long that I was. It was
a fish out of water.
Can I?
Fish out of water. Yes, that's a perfect way to put it. For at least 2 years, I felt that way. You know, after the third year.
We left pretty close together.
Yes.
My youngest daughter, Mel, she turned 3, and this guy right here and his roommates threw her a birthday party. Let me tell you about this birthday party, okay? I think they just wanted to throw a birthday party. It was ridiculously big. It was at the house that they were staying at.
That's awesome.
And I mean, I was just like, I think they just want to throw a party to throw a party.
Yeah. We started like living life.
They wanted to dive all in. Let's do this birthday thing and do it right.
Oh, she's turning 3? Great, we're having the party. You know,
I got so taken advantage of by people initially because I didn't know better. You know, I remember just trusting people I shouldn't have trusted, and all kinds of, you know, trial and error things that I should have picked up.
That actually leads into my next question. After leaving, what were some of the negative after effects for you?
Trying to get up to speed. You know, I had dedicated so much of my time and brain power to a faith, and to the Bible. You know, at this point, I think I've read the whole Bible from front to back. At this point, you know, I really felt like I wasted too much time, and I had to get up to speed. I had to find out what I should have been learning for those years I was dedicated to one belief system. So it was overwhelming at first. The negative impact was, like you said, you feel like a fish out of water, so you feel out of place for a while, disorientated maybe, you know. Yeah. But one thing cool about time is it really does heal all things. So it wasn't long before I felt like a fish in water. It wasn't long before I figured out how to interact with people not of the faith, that you're not supposed to trust everyone. So lots of things I should have learned early in life that I was figuring out in my early 20s, 19 through 21, you know. So I think the first time we ever really broke bad, in that TV show where we did something against the faith, was during Y2K. And technically I was still in the house. You know, I was going to services and getting counseling that phase of my tenure. And we decided to go to Mexico. And New Year's fell on a Friday night, which is, you know, going out on Friday night was, oh no, that's totally wrong. I never did that. I had never done it at that point. It was Y2K, so everyone thought that the computers were going to crash the next day. This could be it. So a bunch of us went down to Mexico, man. Some of us were 15, some of us were, no one was 21, you know, 19, maybe I was 19, 18 at oldest, maybe. And we got shit-faced in Mexico on the border, and just disregarded our belief for the first time ever. And it was a weird feeling because you felt guilt, you felt excitement, you felt a lot of things. But I felt alive.
Well, and just for anybody watching who doesn't know, the House of Yahweh taught very similar to the Jewish religion, which is that the Sabbath starts at sundown on Friday night and goes to sundown on Saturday night. And that's why we couldn't do things on Friday nights, because that's when the Sabbath would start.
Can't have fun. You're supposed to dedicate that 24-hour period to the faith, to your studies, to services and fellowship.
To not having fun.
Not any fun. Yeah. So the 24 hours, there was a no fun zone for the last 10, 15 years of my life. And all of a sudden, we're having fun on a Friday night. To this day, it still feels weird to do things on Friday night for me. I do and I've had good times, but it doesn't feel like a Saturday night. It doesn't feel like other nights. To this day, I still don't really enjoy pork that much. I don't, even though I'm not like faith bound to not eat
That's
pork.
like me. We talked about this in a round table that I still don't like going shopping on Saturdays, but it's not really because I don't believe in spending money on the Saturdays anymore. It's because it's the busiest shopping day of the year or the week, and it's just too many people in there for me.
Or it could be things that you did take away from the faith that stick with you. You know, some things.
Some of it was subconscious. For years, it was that. But now it's just turned into.
I have a hard time saying goodbye. I say bye-bye. For those that don't know, there were certain words we couldn't say, like good, because good came from God and derives. So that's pagan, and so there was a lot of words we couldn't say, a lot of things we couldn't eat, a lot of holidays we couldn't celebrate. In fact, we couldn't celebrate any holidays. They were all pagan.
Yes.
So everything that was fun in life was pretty much stripped from you.
Yes.
And replaced with Day of Atonement, where you fast for 24 hours, literally. Now you're not allowed to brush your teeth.
Yeah.
I never kept it. I never kept the Day of Atonement.
I did, actually, and
I didn't.
it was not fun. Let's just say that. It was not fun.
And what would happen is, what we would do is, we would actually keep it. And the worst thing to do is when you were smoking cigarettes. We used to smoke cigarettes back then. They helped half the time when you were starving yourself. So you're not even supposed to really do it, I don't think, but we did it. But it makes you thirstier, you know, so it's torture. So we all waited on smoking cigarettes, like right when the sun hits, and then we would smoke a whole bunch of cigarettes, watch the sun go down, smoke cigarettes real quick, and then run to the go to crowd and pig out and get sick because we ate too much too quickly. And it was, you know, same cycle every year. We never learned from our mistakes. We always eat too much after.
So, Robert, we're going to redirect back towards a question based on your faith. Do you feel that the leader, Yeshua Hawkins, truly believed and or believes what he's teaching?
Well, 80% of my tenure I did, you know, and it wasn't towards the end when, like I told you, dates weren't hitting, prophecies weren't coming to pass on time, things that he had said were supposed to happen by today weren't happening. And then he would speak, and instead of addressing it, he would just talk about something else. But you would see his heart's not into it. You could see that he was maybe disappointed. Maybe he believed to the point where when it didn't happen, he got a crack. But I started seeing those cracks in his faith, definitely towards the end. I started seeing the greed, the acquiring of things, property, women, just it never ended. I mean, when I left, I think he was up to probably 19 wives, you know, countless lake houses and properties all over Abilene. He was buying up Abilene in the House of Yahweh's name, which just like Scientology, they use as a tax shelter to acquire wealth, vast amounts of wealth. Yeah. And then he would take tithes from people that he paid $40 a week to work for him and build the books as supposed to give the truth. And then they would pay tithes on that $40 that he gave. If they didn't, they would feel bad. And so it was, you see those things close up, and you have your cracks, you start seeing his cracks. And
okay, Robert, you keep bringing this up, and I'm gonna reiterate this because I love your analogy. I was just telling Autumn this when we were talking a little bit in between here about your analogy with the cracks in your faith. Because when you say that, I'm a very visual person. I'm picturing like a pretty white plate. And it just starts getting a little chip and then a little crack. And every little thing gets a little crack. And what happens eventually when this plate has so many cracks? What's going to happen to it? It's going to shatter. And eventually your faith shatters. And I think a lot of people watching that have been in any kind of controlling religious group like this are going to be able to relate to that visual analogy that you use of saying just all these little cracks keep coming up in your faith. I love it. I love it.
If someone's watching this right now who's in a faith, they probably have a crack, or they wouldn't be watching this. So, you know, think for yourself.
There's a little crack.
Think for yourself. See how people are treated. You know, the house, like any religion, had good intentions, but over time, power corrupts all, man. And I think he believed initially. His ex-wife once told me she sincerely believed he believes and believed early in the process. You know, he went from being a charlatan and then to a police officer to a pastor, and at one point or another, probably he's had probably 100,000 people pass through. He's never been able to keep more than 10,000 people together at once because of the the organic belief system that changes, and every time you change something, there's a big purge. So I'm not sure if that's by design or what, but if he just kept things the way they were when I first got there, that organization would be big, powerful, and strong.
Well, and
right now.
I added that question because Autumn, and I'm going to let Autumn get on her soapbox here. Get ready to get on your soapbox. I'm gonna put you on your soapbox here because she did point out that so many people watching, especially people that are still in the House of Yahweh, think that all of us are just being negative and don't want to say anything good about Yeshua Hawkins or the House of Yahweh, and that's part of the reason we did this. So Autumn, you take over here. This is where you take over.
I actually, when we did the pre-interview with you, I had brought this up, and I've been sitting here. First, before I actually get on my soapbox and start preaching, I am so proud of the man you have become. I was taking everything I have to hold back the tears because I am literally having a mom moment right now.
I'm part of my life, Autumn.
I absolutely love the man you have become, and I am so proud of you. Now, with that being said, let me climb on my soapbox. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more to your backstory than people are hearing. And when I tell you people, you are not hearing it all, it is this big. But he has chosen not to hear it. But for those that are listening, you should know Mel and I well enough to know that we do not exaggerate. It's straight to the point. His story is this big. When he speaks of Yeshua Hawkins, my ex-husband Yedidia, he does not speak with guile or bias or spew hate or spew lies. He actually still speaks with them of respect and in a dignified manner. Now, let me add this to you guys to let you know there is so much more to the story with Yeshua Hawkins and this young man and his family than you realize. And yet, when you are hearing in sermons, don't listen to them. They're full of hate. These people hate you. These people have no love for you. They're liars, liars, liars. They're trying to turn you against. I need for you to fully and completely understand. This man that you're listening to right now has every single reason under the sun to be spewing and cussing and shaming Yeshua Hawkins. But he is not, nor will he. Because he still has respect for what the man started. But then he went on his own path. And even though he went on his own path, and he just pointed out the path that he went on, he still speaks with respect. Speaking of cracks, if this young man does not put another crack in your white plate, as Melody says, maybe you need to go back and re-listen and rethink.
Okay, very good.
Well, I have nothing to get out of this. The only reason why I did this is I don't need sympathy because I really feel I was blessed in how everything worked out for me. It's made me a person that I'm proud to be now. But it took a lot to get over the guilt and the self-hate. It took a lot to get over. And
actually, Autumn, that leads into the next question.
I love it. I love it. What, Robert, are some of the things that you've done to work towards personal healing in your experiences?
Well, when I left, I'm not going to lie, there was a giant void. I made it sound like it was easy, but there's a void. And the funny thing is, there's a void from the habits you had. You know, you feel weird when, a feast is going on and you're not there. You feel strange when it's Saturday and you're not dedicating the day to the Creator. So that's weird. But the biggest void was prayer. I was one of those guys that did pray 3 times a day, and then I just stopped, and I didn't realize how that simple ritual, how therapeutic it was, I guess, just saying your problems out loud and asking someone for help and thinking someone may just help you. I don't know, but the biggest thing was the loss of prayer, I think, was the hardest blow. And I could have still prayed. I just didn't know the who or what, and I didn't want to try to figure that out at that time. So, but the loss of prayer was the hardest thing. And to this day, I still try to find things to replace prayer. I try meditation, exercise. My favorite thing to do is running. I like to run and think about what's going on in my life. But it still even though it's smaller now, there's still a void. And I've yet to fill it all the way. Just piece by piece, you find things to occupy your time, ways to think clearly and try to gather your thoughts that are healthy. But nothing is like prayer. There is no substitute for prayer. And I'm still looking for one. So if you know one, send me some, maybe it's like knitting or something, or crocheting.
I'll be honest with you. Mel knows and our viewers know, I pray. When I first left, I still pray. I prayed to my Heavenly Father. I prayed to the Creator. I prayed to anybody but Yahweh, God, any of that. Because there was an elder who was my father-in-law that once gave a sermon, and he said, when your faith is broken, grab a hold of 3 things that you know to be true. The greatest of those 3 things, before the house, during the house, and after the house, I've known to be true, is, like you said, prayer, calling out to somebody, and just being really honest with somebody, because guess what? They're not going to judge you. So I don't know how you would feel that, because I still pray. I pray to a Creator or to my Heavenly Father, though.
Well, where I stand is I don't have a faith. I am spiritual. From what I've seen, I do believe in karma. I do believe in reincarnation. There's every example in the earth of things being reused. So I know there is more than us. I know that could be someone in control of everything. I do believe how you treat people has consequence and an effect. The golden rule still applies regardless of the religion, but I've never since the house put a name on my faith, and right. I'm not sure I ever will. And without the name, it's hard to pray. That's awesome how you do it. I never thought of it, keeping it simple like that. Maybe I'll try. Maybe help me deal with my child that drives me crazy all the time.
And that's actually, Autumn, what you said, that's exactly what I do. I just pray to a Heavenly Father. I don't use a title or a name.
There was a saying that was once said to me, and it's when I feel so overwhelmed and I don't know how to handle things, and even after 22 years, I still deal with the side effects from the House of Yahweh. But maybe this saying will help you. Keep it simple, stupid. Oh, okay. And I know that sounds negative, but seriously, if you think about it, just keep it simple. Just do the most simplest thing. When you can't get your computer to work, you just turn it off and turn it back on. Guess what? It's working. Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah. So that might help you out, maybe.
Well, in closing, I would like to say this. This is something I never talk about, and this has been more therapeutic for me than I thought it would be. It's been a pleasure just to talk about something that I've literally not spoken a word about for 10 years probably.
That's why we do this. It's part of your process, part of your healing. I'm glad you're feeling that way.
In the faith, and if you are thinking you're wavering a little bit, things should feel right. And if they don't, change things. That's all I really have to say in closing. I really enjoyed this process, and you two are good at what you do. So keep it up.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much, Robert. Thanks to everybody for joining us and being with us today. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. And also remember, give this guy some love.
Yes. Thank you so much, Robert. We truly appreciate your time. And I think that your interview is going to be very helpful for a lot of people, because you are so articulate and you use a lot of analogies that help to visualize it for people. And I think a lot of people are going to appreciate that. So I think this is going to be a really good interview. I'm very, very happy with it. And it was so good to get to know you as an adult. I remember you as a young man, but it's been a while. Even though we've been Facebook friends, we don't really talk that much. So it's been really fun to get to know you.
Same here, ladies.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.